Oh, hi. Hello. How you doing? My name is Waldo, and I'm here to feel the politics with you. How's everybody doing today? I am doing great. Thank you. It is a nice 62 degrees outside right now and cloudy, just the way I like it. It's really nice. I am going to close this window, however. Look at how bright that thing is. I'm going to close that right there. It's throwing off my camera. It really is. I'll be right back. And look at here. Look at that. Look at that. That's a little doggy. I'm going to grab a doggy, too. We'll start this stream off right with a Bobo. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's Bo. Say hi, Bo. Say hi to the people. Say hello, people. Hello, internet people. I'm Bobo the Bark Boy. It's kind of his nap time. He wakes up pretty early. And then he runs around and he plays. And then he takes a little mid-morning nap. And then he runs around and he plays for a little while longer. And then takes an afternoon nap. And then he sleeps for about 10 hours a night. It's pretty good, if you ask me. Oh. And then this is his one of his favorite chew toys, the thing that he wants to kill the most. It used to be an actual decoration, but he has claimed it and tries to kill it. So yeah, he's probably going to go lay back down. So yeah, hi. That's how are you? I'm gonna do the Saturday thing. Sorry, I missed Wednesday. I had some family stuff to take care of, but today is Saturday. I've got a handful of links to talk about. I've got some news to look at. I've got some rants to be had, and I had some breakfast and stuff like that. So we might run a little longer than normal. I don't know. Last time I tried, the OBS union crapped out on me and said, no, you can't go past exactly 2 hours. And then they walked out on me, and then my whole stream collapsed, and I didn't even get to say goodbye. So we'll try that again today, maybe not. Depends on how hungry I am when noon rolls around, because it's 10 a.m. for me right now, which is fine. I'm feeling good. But around noon, I start to get hungry.
Classic OBS union.
Absolutely. They were like, dude, you get 2 hours, and that is it. You don't get any more OBS after that. So we'll try it out this afternoon. So let's start off with the normal stuff, the silly things, the fun things to look at. I've got one shocking thing to show you right here. Let's go to the web view. Let's go right here. Let's go to the window capture. We're going to bring it up. Shocking. Mike Lindell refuses to concede, alleging voting irregularities. Now, this is Mike Lindell, the pillow guy, who lied a lot about the 2020 election. He lied a lot about the 2024 election. He lies about a lot of elections, so much so that he got sued and lost, and then had to pay I think it was Smartmatic or Dominion company, because he lied so thoroughly on the TV. The motherfucker lied so much on American TV that he was criminally, or not criminally, but civilly liable. They got to sue him, and then they won. He ran for governor of Minnesota and lost in the primary to a regular Republican, and now he's saying that there were voting irregularities. I'm starting to think this Mike Lindell guy can't be trusted. Shocking, I know. Everybody's surprised. Eli says, so President Donald Trump has lots of fraud. Yes, but last night he was in Long Island with law enforcement making a speech. Why haven't they arrested him? Because they like it, Eli. Can I call you Eli? They're on board. They're also fascists. That thing that he did in Long Island was a political rally. The people who showed up there at that political rally were breaking the Hatch Act, which is also a law. You see, Eli, when the current government does political rallies, and the attorney general and the head of the FBI show up at a political rally, it's not political anymore. it's authoritarianism. The person who runs the Department of Justice is supposed to be ambivalent towards one political party or the other. Yes, maybe they've voted for one or the other in the past. But what they're supposed to do is prosecute criminals who have harmed America, America's laws, or the American people. That's not what Todd Blanche does. He protects Donald Trump personally, specifically. He doesn't give a shit about you or your laws or the laws that Donald has broken. He protects Donald Trump because Donald Trump pays him lots and lots and lots of money. Always has. And as we're about to discuss here in just a few minutes, financial crimes are going to become way easier to do, to accomplish. Financial crimes are about to go through the fucking roof. And you know who's going to get that money? Not you, not me, not the workers, not the people of the country. The white-collar criminals who are willing to lie and cheat and steal and create shell companies and spread that wealth between themselves. They're going to steal your tax money, give it to a company, take that money, and then bankrupt that company. And then they'll just create another one. They'll create a shell company and call it Goober Inc. And then Donnie will give Goober Inc. $1 billion. They'll steal it all, and then they'll say Goober Inc. is bankrupt. And then they'll just close it and leave on and fuck off. And then steal your tax money because they're criminals. Donald Trump is a criminal. But he also gives money to the state violence police, the law enforcement agents who are going to hurt the people they don't like. See these Long Island law folks who were standing behind him cheering? They don't care about white-collar crime. They don't care that the tax money is being stolen from them. They want to hurt the people they don't like. They hate immigrants. They hate brown people. They hate Muslim people. And they want to physically harm them. And Donnie allows that as long as they allow him to do the white-collar crime. It's a symbiosis. You allow him to steal all the tax money, and he will allow you to just lynch people. That is why the Long Island law enforcement cheered for him. But I'm getting off topic. What were we starting to, where did we want to start? We wanted to start with, right here. Wayne Allen Root and Donald Trump saying that maybe he'll cheat in the next election. Let's see.
So let me put an idea in your head, okay? Because it's so hard to get the Senate to do anything. Now they're on recess. They don't get anything done if they never get the Save America Act done. You have the right to declare a national security emergency for elections. And the Supreme...
No, he does not have that right. You have the right to declare an emergency in the election. No, you don't have that right. This guy is telling Grandpa with the mayonnaise brain and the poison dementia, telling him what he's allowed to do, because that's how this whole thing works. Donald Trump is a criminal, a liar, and a fraud, but he's also very manipulatable. I wonder if is that a word, manipulatable? I suppose it is. So the people, like Wayne Allen Root here, can put a dipshit, crazy, batshit insane idea into Donnie's head, and he will then think it's true. Because he's a moron, because he's an idiot, because he's got Alzheimer's. So then he will say, I have the right to do an emergency. And then maybe he will, which is going to be against the law, but it will take time for us to put those things right.
Supreme Court ruled in 1983 under Reagan that INS versus Chadha, that if you declare a national security emergency as the President of the United States, they can't challenge it. It can only be overturned by a 2/3 vote of both houses of Congress. So if you do this in the next month, we will get photo ID, proof of citizenship, and a limit to mail-in ballots. And you don't even need the Senate vote.
Happened. Okay, I'll leave it at that.
All right, we'll leave.
Stranger things have happened. Let me just say, stranger things have happened. No, that's fucking stupid. Mr. President, you can just break the law. And then he's like, yeah, I know. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. He doesn't know. So why is George Soros not funding the Democrat Party? I mean, he funds some of them. If you don't like the fact that billionaires fund political parties. Boss, you're going to hate this fucking Trump guy. You're really going to be upset with this. Elon gave him way more than George Soros has over 20 fucking years. I have been hearing about... Folks, George Soros is running the entire Democrat Party. He gives them millions and millions of dollars. Elon gave Trump billions and paid people to vote. Can you complain about George Soros? Sure. He's fucking peanuts compared to Elon. He is nothing compared to Elon. You idiot talking point. Same with the fake media. Eli, you don't know what you're talking about. You are severely misinformed. Well, but you're always talking about how much you love George Soros. I know, right? I keep talking about how much I love him. He is just another person donating to the political parties. That's it. There is nothing special about him. There's nothing evil about him. There is nothing. And anybody who tells you there is lying to you to trick you. Eli, you seem very, very soft-brained. You really do. You got a weak mind. And they have told you the things that you want to hear desperately. And so you cling to them, even though they aren't true. And he's on to me, folks. I'm just saying it so that George Soros will create a bunch of robots that watch my videos for me. No, not quite. I'm here to tell you the truth, Eli. You don't know what's real. You had your brain poisoned for a very long time. You've been stewing. You've been soaking in right-wing horseshit. And you stink like right-wing horseshit. You really do. I mean, I can smell the right-wing horseshit every time you type something. The only evil part is that the weird guys can become billionaires by betting on currencies. I know, right? I'm going to complain about that a little bit later when we yell about prediction markets and horseshit like that. Back on track. What are we looking at? We are looking at... Here is the corruption that I'm talking about. Eli, follow me here. Look at this. Treasury ends ownership reporting rules for U.S. companies. The rules intended to combat money laundering and other financial crimes imposed by undue burden on American businesses, said the Treasury Secretary. This means that it will be easier.
I've been waiting for Soros bucks for years. I could just do right-wing stuff and get millions from Russia, though, XD.
Exactly. What's his name? Tim Pool was getting Russian money. We know he was. He was getting Russian money. He was saying Russian talking points. And that's ignored. Eli, you don't give a shit when your right-wing lying sacks of shit take money from Russia and then tell you Russian talking points. You don't care. But imaginary problems, imaginary corruption from George Soros, that's a big deal. You are so thoroughly misinformed that it's comical. Why is Democratic broke? Because nobody wants to give them money because they suck. And they still owe $2 million and go into that $140 coming here. Yeah, because they suck. Why are the DSA taking over the Democratic Party? Why are the leftists taking over the Democratic Party? Because the Democrats suck. Centrism is exactly the same as right wing, except with a coexisting bumper sticker on their car. Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, and Kamala Harris want to take all of your tax money and give it to corporations. The right wing wants to take all of your money and give it to corporations. The Democrats just have a coexist bumper sticker on their car. They're exactly the same thing. I'm not a Democrat, Eli. I only vote for them when they are the furthest left choice. During the primaries, and Israel. Well, Israel is its own kind of a corporation. I know they're broke. Any of it makes a great point, Eli. They're broke and they get billions of trillions of Soros bucks. Which is it? I'm starting to think you're a little crooked there, boss. You know, you got your stories straight. Your conspiracies are clashing against each other. Israel is their own kind of a thing, and that they work for also the military-industrial complex. And that is why I complain about the Democrats. The Republicans want to take all of your money and then give it to themselves. The Democrats want to take all of the money, take all of your money, and give it to corporations who also give them a little bit back. So it's the scam. There's a gigantic economy that lives above our heads, right? That has nothing to do with food. It has nothing to do with resources. It has nothing to do with things that are being produced or services. No. There's two economies, man. There's the one that exists where you live, and then there's the gigantic economy above your head, where taxes come into the government gives it to a contractor, the contractor does almost nothing, as little as fucking possible, to earn that money. Then they keep it and they give it to the stock holders. They give it to the investors so that they can do this again. The investors then give some to the politician if the politician helps them get more tax money next year. And then this money just circulates up in the air forever, above your head, having nothing to do with you making your life not better, not making your life better, not making your life worse. Well, it is making your life worse, but it is not helping you. And that's what I'm trying to point at. That's the thing that I'm trying to get everybody to see. Donald Trump, especially, is stealing money from your government and keeping it, and he's going to make it easier to do that. The rules intended to combat money laundering have been lessened. They have been loosened. They have been relaxed. Why would they do that? Because they want to do money laundering. If a guy tells you, when it's kind of an off the subject kind of thing, but when Andrew Tate tells you that it's okay to hurt women, it's because that's what he wants to do. Okay? When a guy with a hot rod, a very nice car, tells you that speeding rules are bullshit, it's because he wants to drive fast. When a guy who owns a crotch rocket motorcycle tells you that he knows a great place where there are no speeding cameras and there are no cops, that's because he wants to drive his motorcycle real fast. When Donald Trump tells you he wants to relax the rules about money laundering, it's because he wants to launder money. He's going to take it from you. He's going to take it from the government. He's going to give it to a shell corporation, just like he did with the reflecting pool, the fancy reflecting pool. He took billions, gave it to a contractor who was his friend. His friend contractor kept most of it, did piss poor work, did as little as fucking possible, and then kept the change. That's the game now. That is the entire American government. Take tax dollars, give it to your friend, and they provide piss poor service. That's why we ran out of missiles in the Iran war. That's why we've run out. Because we gave billions to Lockheed Martin. They gave us millions in missiles, and now we're out. And what did they do with the rest of the money? They kept it. They gave it to their shareholders. They gave it to stock buybacks so that they could make their number go up in the imaginary economy and the stock market. If you've been listening to, for years, Democrat Party, and you still believe what they say, I don't. You need to get your headache examined. I'll get my headache examined. It's true. Same shit every year after. Yes, they do, Eli. That's why I'm a leftist, not a Democrat. You don't know the difference. Okay. So we're going to keep it going on. Let's keep going. I know he doesn't know the difference in any of it. He doesn't know the difference between a Dem and a leftist. He doesn't know it. There is no difference in his mind. He thinks the Dems are leftists because he doesn't know. It's amazing. So let's keep reading what Besson said. The U.S. Treasury Department permanently repealed a rule Tuesday that required businesses formed in the United States to report who owns them to federal financial crimes investigators. Fucking one damn sentence. Read that. They repealed a law that required businesses formed in the United States to report who owns them for federal financial crime investigators. Why would you do that? That makes crime easier. Foreign companies and pooled investment vehicles, such as mutual funds and hedge funds, must still report information about foreign owners, but they will no longer have to identify Americans who help them register to do business in the U.S., according to Treasury Department advisory. Scott Bessent said The new rule eliminates a burdensome reporting requirement for millions of law-abiding business owners without compromising our national security. You lied sack of shit. Everything he says is a lie. So this wasn't burdensome, and it will make more crime. This is going to make more crime. Republicans on the Senate Banking Committee quickly thanked Treasury for standing up for job creators, but Democrats and some national security experts criticized the move, which they said would make it easier for drug cartels, human traffickers, and money launderers to use anonymous shell companies to avoid detection. Eli, Donnie ran on stopping the drug cartels, stopping the human traffickers, and stopping the fraud. Yet he's making it easier for drug cartels, human traffickers, and fraud. He's a liar. He has always been a liar. He's always known this is exactly what he wants to do. Get into government, tear it apart so that there are no more rules for white-collar crime. He is a white-collar criminal. He steals from the everything he can. He is just a thief. He has always been a thief. He steals from the contractors. He steals from the workers who built his buildings. He cheats and steals everything he can constantly. He bankrupts his own company so that he can take all the money that people invested into it. He is a criminal. He is a thief. And he's making it easier for drug cartels, human traffickers, and money launderers, the things that he claims to hate. Why would he claim to hate them if he's only going to empower them and give them more avenues, give them more ability to cheat and steal? Because he is one of them. He is involved with drug cartels. He's probably not involved with drug cartels, but if they paid him, he would be on board for it. If they paid him for a pardon, he would pardon them. Human traffickers, he's best friends with Jeffrey Epstein. He really is. He always has been. He's totally down for human traffickers. I mean, he's married to a hooker. It's who got human trafficked here, probably. Money launderers. That's his bread and butter. He loves that shit. He loves fraud. He pardons white-collar fraud. You know, the senator of Florida right now did fraud. Gigantic billions of dollars of Medicaid fraud. So if you're a rich white man in a business suit, you're allowed to steal from Medicare and Medicaid. But if you're a poor black person from Somalia, you are not allowed to. Okay? There's a difference. White men in business suits get to steal billions, and that's fine. That's just business. You know, poor black people steal, and they go to jail forever. I know. Yeah, you're right, She's not a hooker. Donnie's rich, so she's an escort. It's true. Just like Stormy Daniels. Sex work is work. I'm on board for it. But she was a hooker, right? She didn't go out with Donald Trump because he was such a nice guy. And he didn't chase after a porn star because she had such a winning personality. He knew that she would put out for money. And she knew that he wanted to have sex for money. So they formed an unholy union, you see. I think sex work should be legal, but be honest about it. Jesus. Still on this thing. And what do you know? Trump appointed regulators. Okay, bank licensing for Trump-linked crypto firm. So now their crypto firm gets to be a bank. Coincidence, I'm sure. The decision would give new powers and federal credibility to a venture in which the president and his family retain a substantial financial interest. These two stories are going to work together. They're going to create they're going to create shell companies. The shell companies are going to take government money and produce nothing. Him and his kids are just going to steal more tax money. They're going to steal your tax money. They're just going to steal it. And they're going to give you crypto, which is fucking worthless. And it will become worthless, especially after they give it to you. The Trump administration has granted preliminary approval for a cryptocurrency venture backed by President Donald Trump's family to operate a federally chartered trust bank over the protests of Democrats who decried the decision as riddled with conflicts of interest. The Office of Comptroller of the Currency, the bank regulatory arm of the Treasury Department, said in a letter on Friday that it was conditionally approving World Liberty Trust's company's application for a trust bank charter. The company must still meet additional requirements before it receives final approval, the regulator said, and they'll get it, I'm sure. The decision stands to give new powers and a federal credibility to a venture in which Trump and his family retain substantial financial interest. It's also among the most direct official actions that the administration has taken involving a president's private finances. He will take government money, put it into these shell companies, steal it, put it somewhere else. Then you won't know who owned the shell company because the reporting rules are gone, and we won't be allowed to find the money. He's stealing from the Treasury. He's just stealing your tax money. Flat out. There's no scheme. There's barely even any obfuscation. He's not even doing anything smart. He's not even doing anything complicated. He's not running an Ocean's 11 here. No, man. Tax money to shell company to his bank account. Shell company goes out of business. Just crashes. Nobody knows who owned it. Nobody fucking knows. Who put it together? Who is the CEO? Who fucking cares? You're not allowed to know. Shut the fuck up. It's barely even a scam. It's like walking in and opening somebody else's cash register and walking out with the money. It's barely even a scam. It is illegal and it is a crime, but it's barely a scam. I see the report that Hugh Hefner is reporting Epstein to FBI, and a bunch of times that the FBI waited years to contact the women in the report. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I've said it about Epstein before, but the reason he was allowed to go on for such a long time is because the FBI was using him as a spy. The FBI paid him money to give them information on who was a criminal and who wasn't, who came to his island. He told the FBI who came there. They know. He told the FBI. He told Hamas. Not Hamas. What's the name of the Israeli intelligence agency? I forget what the hell they're called. No, I forget what they're called. Anyway, he told the Kremlin, if the Kremlin paid Jeffrey Epstein, he'd tell them who was on his island and when. Mossad. There it is, Mossad. If Mossad gave Jeffrey Epstein money, and I'm sure they did, he would tell them who came to his island. Absolutely right. Because he was a spy. That's what he did. That's why they allowed him to continue. The FBI knew what happened. They listened to Hugh Hefner and was like, oh, yeah, he's one of ours. He's our spy. Yeah, we'll look into it, Mr. Hefner. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And then they don't. Because he gives them information about all the people that come to the island. And they pay him. The FBI paid Jeffrey Epstein. That's why it's such a big secret. That's why we can't talk about it. That's why there's all this secrecy around it. Because your tax dollars paid for the island. Your tax dollars went to the FBI. The FBI and the CIA gave him your money. That's the secret. That's the thing that nobody wants to know about. That's the thing that they won't let you know. It's obvious. Where did he get his money? 1, the people he blackmailed. 2, the United States government. We paid his ass so that he would give us information. And so when people report him, the FBI is like, yeah, we know. We pay him. He's on the payroll, man. Then, and then my completely made up conspiracy that I'm just saying with no evidence is that Donald Trump wasn't his customer. No. Donald Trump was one of the girls. Donnie wasn't the one going there to get the trafficked young people. He was trafficked. And Donnie then got sexually assaulted by Jeffrey Epstein and lots of other guys. That's very sad that happened. And I make this up with absolutely no proof and no evidence, and I'm just going to tell you that it's I feel it's true in my heart that he was trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein. And that's very sad, and that's why he can't let you know about it. That's why he doesn't want the truth out there, because then you'd see him as a weak beta bitch. Any of it believes
I believe it 100%.
Exactly. And we live in a post-fact universe now. You're just allowed to say whatever you want. Nobody can stop you. And the accusations are all that matter, you know? So we just keep that one simmering on the back burner. Anywho, what was I talking about? What the hell was I talking about? There we go. Crypto is going to create shell companies, and you're not going to know who owns the shell company. They are then going to get money from foreign governments, the Saudis, the Russians, the Chinese, who are going to buy the fake cryptocurrency. And then Donald's kids will just take the money out and put it in their pocket and then close the shell company. The end. It won't have any, we won't know that they're doing it. The crimes will just be easier to accomplish now that the laws have been loosened and been relaxed. More bribes, more corruption, more lies, more money moving up away from you. The gigantic economy above your head is about to get even easier to siphon money upward. There will be none left for us. There will be none left for you, because the only way for a large company to make money is to get someone else to give it to them for no reason. I mean, the profitability of somebody giving you money and you giving them crypto is gigantic. The profitability there, because you're not giving them anything, and and they all think that this is brilliant. They're all absolutely on board for this idea of giving people nothing and getting money in return. And there is the entire that is the bubble that is forming. That's the bubble you're seeing. Is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it will pop and it will crash, and everyone will rob you to pay their bills. That's what happened during the housing crisis. I know 2008 is a long motherfucking time ago, but that's what happened. Is they all exaggerated about how much it's worth. I've got a very, let me find a, see this right here? It's worth $100 million. This guy, this little fella right here, yes, it's $100 million. And I'll sell it to you for $101 million. I mean, I'm only making $1 million out of this. I could say, you know, I'm making a little bit of a profit. And then you find out that it's actually worthless. It's not worth all that much. Did I lose money? No, not really. You lost your money because you gave it to me. But if the market collapses, if I tell you this is $100 million and then reality says, no, it's worthless, did I lose $100 million? No. I didn't pay $100 million for this thing. I paid $20 for this. And so I didn't lose $100 million. But that's the way the economy works, is I have a thing. Everybody agreed it was worth $100 million, and now it's worth nothing. I lost $100 million. No, you didn't. It didn't fucking exist. It never existed. And there is our problem, my problem mostly with the economy, is that the things that they tell you are valuable fucking aren't. They tell you that these houses are worth $1 million, and they're fucking not. They wouldn't be worth that. They shouldn't be worth that. They're all lying and exaggerating the price to make a profit. So when I'm lying to you and telling you that this is worth $100 billion, and then it becomes zero, I didn't lose anything because nothing existed. There was nothing there. That's what's going to happen with these shell companies, with these crypto firms, with all these things like that. They're going to tell you this company's worth $1 billion, and it produces nothing. It does nothing for any customers. It does nothing for anyone who isn't one of the investors. And then it's going to crash, and then shitheads on the NBC Squawk Box, whatever the fuck it's called, all the economists, Jim Cramer, all his fucking friends on the fucking TV who lie to you for a living, will tell you that the money was lost, the value was lost. No, it never existed. Never existed. If the stock market crashes, That's because everyone was lying about how much this bullshit was worth. And somebody finally popped the bubble and said, no, it's not worth that fucking bull. It's bullshit. It's not real. And then it comes crashing down. Our boom and bust cycle is based on fucking nothing. And then the government comes in and gives the company that lost $100 million, $200 million, tell them to bail them out. Absolutely. That is the scam that comes afterward. I then put in a request to the government to give me $100 million. My fucking investment is gone. My investment has been ruined by the fucking market. I need the government to pay me $100 million. And where does the government get that? From taxes. And that is exactly what will happen when this bubble pops. When this AI bubble pops, everybody involved will go screaming to the government, begging for handouts, begging for bailouts, begging for money that they shouldn't get, money they shouldn't be allowed to have. And the Democrats will give it to them, and the Republicans will give it to them. Because that's what they do here now. The Democrats and the Republicans, that's what they do. They don't exist to represent you. They don't exist to put your ideas into law. They exist to take your tax money and give it to corporations. That is what they do now. That is the purpose of both parties. Take tax money, give it to corporations. But which corporations, Waldo? Well, the Republicans would have you give it to oil companies, and the Democrats would have you give it to crypto. Well, not crypto firms. The Democrats would have you give it to solar panels, which I could almost get some sort of benefit from. And stock traders. And it depends on what state they're from. If they're from Kentucky, they give it to coal miners. If they're from New York, like Chuck Schumer, they give it to the stock brokers. That is what they do now. That is their entire purpose. That is why they exist. They don't exist for anything else. And this is going to make it easier. This is going to make everything so much worse. The bubble is expanding. The bubble is getting bigger, everybody. The bubble is about to fucking get big. Big bubble. It's going to be so large. It's going to be insanely huge. Some dipshit, like Zach Witkoff here, that we're looking at, Liberty Trust President and Chairman Zach Witkoff said that the charter would allow the company to manage its USD stablecoin, a crypto token whose value is pegged to $1 under the OCC's watch. Why is it exactly $1? So they can take fucking bribes. USD1 grew because the institution trusts how it operates, and confidence at enterprise scale deserves the backing of federal supervision. Witkoff said, we welcome continuous scrutiny from federal regulators for many years to come. They are going to steal your money and then give the government crypto dollars. Then the crypto dollars are going to become worthless because they took all the money out of the system. They are going to rob the treasury and replace it with crypto. And then the crypto will become worthless. And they'll be like, whoopsie doodle. Guess this is your fault somehow. Fuck you. And then inflation goes crazy. And then, what was the old back in before World War II, that you could spend $100 million in German currency to buy a piece of firewood, or you could just burn the currency. It was cheaper. It took a wheelbarrow full of their hyperinflated currency to buy just a piece of food. It was insane. That's coming for America. That is coming for us. It is coming because the people in charge are criminals. They're crooks. They don't care if this causes hyperinflation. They'll have all the money at the end. They're stealing everything they can as fast as they can because they know that you can't stop them. They have the House, they have the Senate, and they have the presidency, which means they can just ignore the law. And they have a lot of judges, so they can just do whatever the damn hell they want. And while we're still on the subject, Trump sued over plan to monetize his truth posts. So what is this? This is Donald Trump telling people that if they pay him, he'll tell them about the scams first. Okay? What you don't want to do is be the last guy to arrive at the scam. That's kind of how crypto works, right? If you buy a Bitcoin, if you're the last person to buy a Bitcoin, who are you going to sell it to? You're the last person. It's worthless. The entire crypto business is just tricking people into buying the thing that you already bought for more than you paid for it. That's it. I bought a Bitcoin for $1 and I need to trick someone into buying it for $1.05. There is no other value. It is nothing but speculation. And that is what he wants to do with his Truth Social posts. He says, I'm going to rob this place. Get your money out of there quick. I'm going to bump this stock up, so buy it while it's still low. Tomorrow, Donnie says tomorrow, I'm going to raise the stock price, so buy it low today. And then Thursday, I'm going to drop it down with a different tweet, so sell it on Wednesday. He's doing market manipulation through his Truth Social posts, obviously, blatantly, and he wants to allow people to get in on the ground floor, get in early, get in 5 minutes before anybody else. If you pay him, he'll tell you what's going to go up tomorrow and what's going to go down. Because he's a criminal. He's a white-collar criminal. Market manipulator. This is not free market. Motherfucker, conservatives, please tell me how this is free fucking market. He's manipulating it, controlling it with his government authority. He uses his government power to tell the market what it will and will not do. He's using his government strength to drive the market in the direction that benefits himself. There's nothing free market about it. It's disgusting. It's blatant, obvious, high-level corruption. It's barely even a scam. That's the other thing that drives me nuts. This is not even a scam. We all know. We all see it. And nobody can do anything about it. Because the Democrats also want to be in on that game. If Chuck Schumer could do this himself, he would. Because they don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about your country. They don't give a shit about your rights. They want money. All day, every day, nonstop, nothing else matters to them. Money, money, money. All about the money, never ending, never stopping, never, never, never stop getting more money. And that is why the DSA is taking over. And that's why the people on the left are starting to win. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. Let me finish with all the Trump scams before we continue on with the DSA winning and the left-leaning people coming around and coming to power. Pirro, in rare move, convenes special grand jury in Washington. Unlike typical grand juries, those designated as special focus on a single case or related cases and can issue a report following their investigation. Now, what does this mean? The Justice Department has convened a special grand jury in Washington, a rare legal body that officials say could pave the way for federal prosecutors in the nation's capital to investigate some of its biggest and most controversial cases. Unlike a typical grand jury, a special grand jury can release a potentially critical report about the subject of an investigation, even if the prosecutors do not find enough evidence to bring the person to trial. They are not going to do regular grand juries anymore. They're going to do special grand juries so they can release a critical report. Motherfucker, this is just accusations with no proof. More accusations, less evidence. More wild fucking headlines, less truth. Less reality, less evidence proven in a court, but more reports, more TV headlines, more right-wing news sources saying you've been indicted by the special grand jury for breaking the law. And then 6 weeks later, the case will get dropped because there's no evidence. They made that shit up. This is exactly what Donald wants, he thinks that the justice system just works. He thinks that if you say it on the TV, it's real. It's a fact. It happened. The 350-foot slash into the reflecting pool is a fact in his fucking poisoned brain. He thinks it's real, and he needs you to think it's real, and he needs you to believe it without evidence. And he needs the news to repeat his lies. And then when the court throws it out for being a lie, well, let's not talk about that. Keep that shit down. Keep that secret. Don't talk about that. And most importantly, they have their supporters who are completely blind to their corruption. Absolutely. This is part of the problem. This is state propaganda. The state will accuse people, and then the court will throw it out. The executive branch will accuse people of crimes, and then the legislative branch will throw it out. This makes it easier to accuse people. This makes it easier to put your political rivals in trouble. You'll release a critical report saying that Hunter Biden did the thing. And then 6 weeks from now, Hunter Biden will be in front of a judge, and the judge will be like, no, there's no evidence. And then toss it out, and it'll be gone. But you won't hear about that. The canoeist, the Olympic canoer, who put a 400-foot gash in their reflecting pool, is giant news. But when the court says there's no evidence and they dismiss it, nothing. You have to go out of your way to hear that information. The accusation is all that matters. Conservatives don't care about what's real. They don't care about what's proven in court. They don't care about courts. They hate courts. They would love to stay out of courts entirely. If they could just make an accusation on the TV and then kill the person they're accusing, they would. That is the world they are trying to build. Jeanine Pirro goes on TV and says, this guy committed a crime, the cops go and shoot him. That's the entire Justice Department under a conservative. That's the entire Justice Department under Donald Trump. Donald Trump tells you you're guilty, and then the military executes you. That is what he wants. That is what he's building towards. That is the thing he wants to be correct and real and true. And if you argue and say, hey, those people were innocent, or that guy didn't do the thing, there's no evidence, he calls you a communist, and then he kills you. That is where this is headed. I don't know that we're going to get entirely that far, but it is where we are headed. That is where this kind of horseshit is going. Pirro has relied on van der Velden to investigate some of her office's most controversial cases, including a probe into the then Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, and an inquiry into allegations that the D.C. police force purposely skewed its crime statistics. So when the D.C. police force tell you how much crime happened and it disagrees with the made-up number that Donald Trump made up, well, they're criminals, aren't they? When Jerome Powell does things for the economy, I'm not saying he's a good guy. I'm just saying he knows more about it than Donald Trump. And he disagrees with Donald Trump, then he's a criminal. So if you say anything opposite because you're an expert of the Trump administration, they call you a criminal on the TV and they attack you. They run your name through the mud and they disgrace you. They defame you. They call you a liar. They call you a criminal. They call you a fucking communist. They call you anything they want. And then they bring you up on charges. And then the court's like, no, there's no evidence here. Get out of here. And then it gets dismissed. They're trying to fix that last bit. Okay. They're trying to keep that quiet for now. But if they could just start executing people, they will. That's what they do with the drug boats. That's what Pete Hegseth in the military is doing with the drug boats. Those boats are definitely carrying drugs, but that's not a attack on America. It's not. But they shoot them and kill them. That is what they want for you. They want you to be seen the same as those people on the drug boats. So if you are out protesting, You're clearly a threat to the American public, so they murder you. That is what they want. They want to bomb the shit out of the protesters. They want to bomb and kill everyone who disagrees with them. If you are protesting outside of an ICE facility, you're a terrorist and you can be shot. But they have to build up to that. They have to do baby steps. They have to do little bit at a time until they get that far. And so we get things like this. Where are my shock gloves? Where are the shock gloves, guys? Where are the shock gloves? Did I not bring up the shock gloves? Oh man. No, I had to bring up the shock gloves. Where are my shock gloves? I got so many tabs. There we go. The painful truth of exactly how ICE's new shock gloves work. ICE got $20 million, not for body cams, not for training their people, not for making their facilities better, but for shock gloves. Gloves that just shock the shit out of you. ICE is spending millions on shock gloves designed to overpower subjects through intense localized pain. Let's look up the shock. Okay, sorry. I thought I had this one loaded up. ICE shock gloves. And I can't read the wired thing, but let's look here. There we go.
And basically, you got a power button that you hit, it lights up, and then it's active. It basically takes all your focus off everything that's going to basically where you're getting grabbed at, and then as soon as you let go, it's gone. There's no marks that's left or anything like that, and it lets you get the control of the person to where you can get them in a safer location. It doesn't incapacitate a person like a taser. I'm sure several people have seen taser videos where you hit somebody and they fall on the ground and stuff like that. And get stiff. This has no incapacitation with it. I can touch anywhere on my body. If I was to grab hold of my hand, which I'm not going to do, I've already experienced it. I don't want to put myself through it. It doesn't feel the best. But sometimes when you put them on, you tell them these are compliant.
So, what will those be used for? They can be defeated by long sleeves. It can't go through the shirt. What are they going to use it for? Oh, they're going to use it to torture the people in the concentration camps. Absolutely they are. Oh, baby, everybody who's in one of the ICE detention camps, aka concentration camps, is going to be tortured by these things. That's what they're going to do with it. It's worthless against protesters. They'll just wear sleeves, idiot. So, and half of them wear face masks already. So you'd have to touch them on the face, which is against the rules and against the law. And the minute you fucking video somebody touching you on the face with these things, it'll be a giant firestorm. And then the news media will actually cover that probably because it'll show a human being screaming on the ground. And that's good fucking TV. But where are they going to be controlled what you're wearing? When you're inside the concentration camp. This will be used to torture the people we have in the concentration camps. And it doesn't leave a mark. Isn't that great? Isn't that lovely? Don't we love that, folks? They say that like it's a fucking safety measure. They brag about how it doesn't leave a mark. You see, no permanent harm. The tasers have little hooks, and they could put little stabby, very tiny little punctures into you. But these don't leave any marks, which means there's no evidence. No evidence of the pain glove. I don't want the violent racists who were in ICE to have evidence-free pain gloves. I know, Waldo, you're a crazy lunatic leftist, but I don't want the violent racists who run ICE to have invisible, non-traceable No evidence, no marks, pain gloves. That seems like a bad fucking time. They're absolutely going to torture people with it. They're going to just torture them. And we're going to hear about it over and over and over and over again. And how would we know if it's a liar or not? Some immigrant is going to get released, just thrown across a border or something like that. And they're going to find a news reporter and be like, dude, they just held me down for hours with the pain glove. How would we know? We won't. Maybe he's lying. Maybe he's not. You won't be able to know because there's no evidence. There's no skin markings. It won't leave anything behind. ICE needs to be fucking torn apart. It needs to be stopped. It needs to be defunded. It needs to be completely fired. Everybody involved. Everybody involved gets investigated for crimes. It is a goddamn Gestapo. And now they have a torture device in their concentration camp. I can't. There's nothing else. The Gestapo has torture devices inside their concentration camps. And the centrists in the middle and the people are going to be like, me, who cares? I don't know. Never heard about it. No, Waldo, you're being crazy. But then when they are supposed to do when mom in a car tries to run them over. And that probably won't even work. If they're wearing sleeves, it won't work. Now we all know that you can just wear sleeves and it won't work. We'll just wear gloves and sleeves to the protests. And then they'll have to roll the sleeves up to hit them with the pain device, or find an uncovered part of their body, which is going to be the face or the head or the neck or something like that. And you can't trust them with guns. You can't trust them with pepper spray. You can't trust them with tear gas. They've abused the tear gas. They've abused the pepper spray. They've abused their guns. They've abused every single thing that we've ever given them. They abuse all the power they get, all the authority, all of the grants that we give, all the money that we give them. They use to hurt people. We're just going to give them $20 million worth of pain gloves. It's going to be great. What could possibly go wrong? I'm sure they'll some BS use for the glove. Yeah, and they will lie to us about it because they're fucking Gestapo. They are the fucking Gestapo. They're bad at what they do. Wales, UK. Thanks, Deirdre's Nick. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for saying hi. We're giving magic pain gloves to the Gestapo. It's going to be great. It's going to be a good time. Let's see. So we're going to do this. So we got that. What else do we have to talk about tonight? Do I have more Donnie shit to talk about? Don't think so. Let me close some of these tabs. Let me close some tabs. If you're watching, hop in the chat. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what you're feeling. Going over the Discord, and you can tell me what to talk about in the future. Stuff like that. So we did all the Donald Trump stuff. So now we're going to lean... Well, do we want to talk about the plane stuff? I don't know if I want to talk about the plane stuff. The plane stuff's kind of dumb. Okay, let's do the plane stuff real quick. Okay. Last month, Trump used a plane load of reporters as an unwitting decoy during a real assassination threat, subpoenaed the reporters who reported something was amiss, and then stood up a black tie dinner and told them all, the reporters, how lucky they are that he tolerates them. So what is this all about? What happened? The CIA got a tip that Iran was going to shoot a missile at plane number 1. So that is Air Force One. That is the president's plane. It was filled with pilots and reporters and people. Humans. Donald Trump and one other guy, I think, hid inside a... that's why I put the funny little photo up here on the start screen. They hid inside like a crate kind of a thing, and then they got wheeled out into the catering truck. They hid inside the little thing, and then they got put on the catering truck. The reporters on plane number 1 did not know that he was inside the crate thingy, and then he got onto plane number 2 secretly, quietly, through hiding. Both planes take off Both planes fly back. The reporters didn't know why he wasn't on the plane. They're like, hey, where'd he go? What the hell happened? Where was he? And then when they landed, he got off the other plane. And so the reporters, shockingly, reported on it a little bit. And they got a little confused. And they were like, how did you get from one plane to the other without us seeing you? And so they started asking the questions. They started reporting. I know, shocking. I'm fucking shocked that they started asking questions too. I am. The people following Trump around don't ask questions. At least not good ones anyway. But this time they tried to figure out what the hell just happened. Why did he get on the plane, disappear, reappear on a different plane many hours later? How did he even do that? Well, it turns out the CIA told him there was a threat to that plane that all those people were on, and he got to bounce to a different plane. Fuck the people that were there. Fuck the reporters that are already on there. Fuck all the human beings with lives and children and spouses and all that stuff. Fuck them. Fuck them. If they die, who fucking cares? Donnie is what matters. Trump is what matters. And so they moved him to a different one. And then when the reporters started asking, trying to figure this shit out, he called them liars. He subpoenaed them. He called them leakers. He tried to fucking sue them for asking these questions. Because it made him look like a bitch. One. And two, he doesn't want people to know that he will abandon their dumbasses. He will abandon their dumbasses. He will let them die. He will let them go and be the decoy so that they can get blown up and not him. Because he doesn't care about them. He doesn't care about anybody but himself. And now, surprise, surprise, guess what? We find out later, there was no threat. The threat was made up by Israel. Mossad, the Israel intelligence service, made that shit up, exaggerated it, and then told our CIA, told our Secret Service, who then thought it was real, thought it was true, and then did all this. Because they control him. That's why I complain about Israel so much. Their government controls Donald Trump because he's a moron, because he's an idiot, because his feeble, poisoned brain, his dementia-riddled Alzheimer brain, doesn't actually know stuff. He is manipulatable. They can play him like a fiddle. They know what will make him do things, and then they will just tell him that those things are true, and then he will believe that they are true, and then he will move in the direction they want him to move. They drive him. They control him like a puppet because they're smarter than him. Not because they're better, not because they're awesome. Yeah, and that only came out like yesterday or the day before. The Mossad called in the scare to the CIA then, and the FBI and Secret Service and stuff like that. So, and nobody's talking about that. Yeah, it's not even on the news. The news reporters are upset that their lives were in danger. And the press does love talking about one thing above all else, the press. The press loves it when a reporter gets kidnapped. They never shut the fuck up. When a reporter gets killed, that's a gigantic fucking story to the reporters. Kids in Harlem get killed. Nah, who cares? Who fucking cares? They might mention it or something. But no, if a reporter's life is in danger, that's all the news wants to talk about for hours. So they were upset that they might have been in line for an attack. But when we find out that it was actually Israel that did the thing, that's not important. We don't need to talk about that. We all work for Israel. Everybody in the mainstream media works to give American taxpayer money to Israel. That's what they do. That's part of their job. And I wish we could, have reporters that report on American stuff. I wish we had reporters that care about what's real and what's correct and what's true. But we don't. It's all about money. Money, 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 SpongeBob. It's all about the money. And they don't care what's true, what's correct. They don't care about the American democracy. They don't care about the votes. They don't care about the elections. They just need that cash. Get that money. It's all that matters. Because if you have enough money, the law stops applying to you. Once you become rich enough, the laws don't apply to you any longer. You can just have an escort instead of a hooker, like Donald Trump does. You just pay a porn star to have sex with you. Who cares? If you do that on the street when you're a poor person, you go to jail. It's a crime when poor people do it. But when rich people do it, it's eccentric. It's an escort. He's just buying her a car. And she's just having sex with him because he gave her a car. And that's fine. He just paid her rent. It's okay. Who cares? They're rich people, you see. They get to break the laws. They get to buy pardons. They just get it. There are two justice systems, one for the rich people, one for the poor people. Which one are you? So yeah, that's the plane stuff. Do we care about the plane? And then I don't know. I guess this leads into my next one. So what else do we have to talk about today? This goes in with the DSA as well. So we're going to close that tab. We're going to close this tab. We're going to listen to Donnie tell us a bunch of shit that's just not true. Let's listen to this.
The country's doing well. The stock market's fantastic.
The country is not doing well, and the stock market is fake.
We have 79 records so far in a short period of time.
Nope, not true.
More people are working right now in the United States than ever before.
No, that's not true either.
And prices are dropping fast. Iran is going fine.
It's not going fine. Fridge Makara, you used the R word. You're not allowed to use that in Twitch chat. I agree with you. It's just that you gotta go easy on the language there. Twitch chat won't let you say that. Sorry, boss. You got auto modded, not by me, but by Twitch.
You know what? That's fair.
And I appreciate you being here. Thanks for coming. But yeah, the YouTube or not the Twitch auto mod busted you, and then it gave me the message.
They hire prostitutes, and it's only legal for them. Yeah, we know. We read the Epstein files. They do a lot worse.
They do a lot worse, and that's allowed if you have enough money. Pay for the pardons, pay for the expensive lawyers who defend you and lie for you. Lawyers will lie for you if you pay them enough. I don't have enough money to pay a lawyer to lie for me.
Laws only exist for the lower class.
Absolutely right. Absolutely true.
That is a well-known fact.
Mm-hmm.
Going just absolutely fine. We
Iran is not going fine.
totally control the Strait of Hormuz.
Nope, we do not totally control the Strait of Hormuz.
Control over it. Nobody else, only us. Our Navy is unbelievable.
Our Navy is unbelievable. No, they're doing very poorly right now, Donnie. We're going to talk about that here in just a minute. They're doing very badly.
And things are going great for our country. Go ahead.
Things are not going great for our country. None of that was true. That was so many lies. Nobody can weave together so many lies as fast as he can.
I'm a little surprised Iran hasn't gotten a strike off on the aircraft carrier.
And they're trying. They probably wouldn't. They're just going to keep bombing the boats. The not our Navy boats, but the oil boats until they control it. The Navy carrier has defenses and stuff like that and would bomb, and then America would stop being half-assed in this war. Iran benefits from a half-assed American presence there rather than a full whole-ass presence. If they hit our Navy, then all of a sudden every right-wing, every centrist says we go to all-out war. They killed 7 of our soldiers or our sailors on this boat, and immediately 100% war, bombing runs, millions dead in Iran. If they do that, millions dead. If they slowly just strangle, if they very closely strangle the Strait of Hormuz, then the next president will be decent towards them. And we can actually see the Here, where did my chart go? There's my chart right there. Crude oil shipments through the Strait of Hormuz. See how that line goes down? See how that line goes down to zero? We do not control it. Trump just said we control the Strait of Hormuz. Nope. Not even close to being true. Not even a little bit true. They have complete control over it.
To be fair, the USA is kinda at all-out war already.
No, actually not. The all-out war, maybe. It depends on what all-out war means. It depends on what we mean by that. I was slightly convinced that we could do a much better job, and we had more missiles than we did. But now that we've run out of missiles in the Iran war, we see the problem. We see that we've been giving Lockheed Martin and Boeing billions of dollars with a B, and they have been giving us millions of dollars of missiles, and now we're out. And now we've run out. We can't get the aircraft carriers to work anymore.
The USA has done almost everything short of a land invasion, and you might as well welcome a land invasion.
That would cause way more death. War has changed. We're a lot different than it used to be. Those aircraft carriers were nightmares. They were impossible to sneak up on. They were impossible to stop. You couldn't prevent them, and they could control a giant area because they had the planes that would lift off, and they had the people, and they had the defenses, and they had the guns, and they had the things. Drones can take that shit out. Drones can make their lives miserable. You could send a little boat drone. You could send a little tiny little drone and wreck their shit.
An Iran land invasion would be a Pyrrhic victory.
Well, it would be millions of them dead, thousands of us dead, and it would accomplish nothing. They would have to start a new Iraq, where we go door to door and we hold just this little bit of land, and then there's an insurgency that lasts for eternity. And it would not go well for us. The strait would stay closed. The oil would not come out. Any attempt by Exxon or Chevron or Shell or whoever the hell to get that oil out would be hit with insurgency. The drones would come and destroy them. So when that oil tries to come out, it would get hit. And
yeah,
it
would be atrocious.
Mm-hmm.
Besides the insurgency that lasts for eternity, there's only two places you could even attempt it from.
The insurgency itself? Or the to get the oil out. Yeah, the oil has to come out, and they would know where it is. They'd live in the caves. They'd live in the mountains. They'd hide there, and they'd hit it with the drones. And it would not go well. We would have a bad time, and we wouldn't accomplish anything. That's why Donald Trump hasn't done it, I think, because it would cost so much money and it wouldn't function.
The land invasion. You go in through Chabahar Bay or through Turkey.
Oh, yeah. It would not go well. It would be bad. So now that we're thinking about the Navy, let's talk about the Navy. Let's look at their shit. Let's look at the Navy. Here we go. USS Abraham Lincoln
You can't land
sailors.
anywhere else. It's just mountains.
Oh, yeah. There's no way. Yeah, you're right. Their sailors tried to jump overboard and amid extended deployment reports. Aircraft carriers crew in the 9th month at sea has spent a record 250 consecutive days without making land. 250 days. That's entirely too long. The military families and Congress members are sounding the alarm about an intensifying mental health crisis on board the USS Abraham Lincoln as its 5,000 sailors and Marines endure a record-breaking deployment at sea tied to the war with Iran. Two leading specialist military papers, the Navy Times and the Stars and Stripes, are reporting that there have been multiple attempts by sailors to jump overboard as poor conditions and mental stresses on the Lincoln reached their breaking point. The crew, in its 9th month at sea, has spent 250 days consecutively without making land, a record for an aircraft carrier in modern times. Worried families vented their anxieties about loved ones on board the Lincoln at an emotional town hall meeting with Navy leaders in San Diego last Thursday. One spouse among 200 or so family members said that her husband had texted her that day saying he hopes he doesn't wake up tomorrow. So the Navy guy says, I hope I don't wake up tomorrow. The families worried were expressed directly to Navy leadership represented in the town hall by the acting Navy Secretary Hung Kao and other top officials. But they don't care. It doesn't matter what Hung Kao fucking wants. The 12-year-olds who run the government don't give a shit. Donald Trump does not care about these people. It's a very old joke, but Republicans love the troops the way Michael Vick loves dogs. It is ask your grandpa if you don't get the joke. But they just want kill machines. They don't want human beings. They don't respect the troops. They don't like the troops. They don't want to pay the troops. They just want them to kill the people they point at. That's all Pete Hegseth has ever wanted, a kill bot. He points at something and it dies. That is all he's ever wanted. And if the people have to be
Donald
put
Trump
together,
doesn't
he
even
doesn't
really care about the war.
No.
That's why the whole catering cart thing
He
happened.
doesn't give a shit about you. He doesn't give a shit about the war. He doesn't give a shit about the law, democracy, people having Iran having a nuclear weapon. He just wants money. He just wants money. We should have paid him to go away long time ago. He's scared. He thinks he'll get a dishonorable discharge, and just because he was burnt out, his 13-year career is ruined. So yeah, we're talking about the people who are possibly jumping overboard. The paper quoted another sailor's wife whose husband was involved in a separate incident on board the Lincoln in which he prevented a fellow crew member from jumping, grabbing them and bringing them back on deck. And when you jump off of one of these things, you don't just get wet. You die. If you jump off of this motherfucker, you die. It's such a long way down, and then they can't get you. I know they got small boats and shit like that, but you're most likely just going to die. Mike Levin, a Democrat member of Congress in California, has sounded the alarm over conditions on board the warship in its 5th month of combat operations against Iran. He described a lot of the crew on X as moldy showers, broken toilets, laundry down for weeks, long stretches with no hot water, a meal that came down to half a cup of rice and 2 tortillas, no soap, no deodorant, no toothpaste. And we can see, I think, here we go. Here's a little bit of it. I saw this one too. Severe psychological strain. Family members indicate that the open-ended timeline and relentless combat operations have severely degraded the crew's morale. Degraded operational conditions, the psychological toll is compounded by deteriorating logistics support for the 5,000 sailors. Crew members have endured 12 to 16-hour shifts alongside plumbing failures, limited hot water, mold infestations. And this is a text that came from one of them. Hey, honey, I'm eating cereal right now. Wish there was milk, though. I haven't had milk in 3 months. We're just getting dry cereal. And then she says, why isn't there milk? So the supply ship that comes here can't bring fruits and stuff because it can't stay fresh long enough with the time it gets them to get here. Wow, she says. Any idea who's supposed to come relieve you guys in August? So we haven't heard anything about fresh. We haven't had anything fresh but meat because it's freezed. Sometimes it gets here rotten. Gross. The Navy attributed the supply deficits to regional combat operations disrupting traditional Middle Eastern logistics. No shit. Service officials insist that functional air conditioning, clean water, and protein options remain consistently available. And then they're lying. Yeah, families are just frustrated as the people on the boat. This deployment is the worst one, and I pray no other boat goes through the same. Even people that have been deployed 100 times claim this one to be the worst and can't believe it can get any worse than this. The Navy does not care. The mission will always come first. I was talking to some random dude at the smoke pit, and he was saying it's an experiment that the government is doing to see how far they can push sailors. Limits of being out to sea with the worst experience. I don't know anymore. I know my family needs me, and the Navy is not being fair right now, taking me away for longer than expected. Worst part is my expectations were already at an all-time low, but as per usual, the Navy beats those two by going lower than hell. So there's that. Now, is it an experiment?
I really feel like Iran could and should strike the carrier as it retreats.
Well, then we would start shooting them with more. We would nuke them. Donald Trump would nuke them, and they would lose. Knock down, drag out, all that war would not go well for them. I know that they have a lot of people there. They're a legitimate country. They're not a bunch of fucking goat herders like in fucking Afghanistan. You know, they're not piss poor kind of a place like Iraq. They have an actual middle class. They have a manufacturing base. They should be a first world country if we'd stop fucking with them. If we'd quit fucking with them for the past 40 years, they would be a major power within the world. But is it an experiment? No. It's not an experiment to see how much a sailor can take. That would imply that the government can learn things. the government we have cannot learn stuff. They
I
don't
don't think
know
Trump's
things.
cabinet would let him pursue the nuclear option. That's such a massive escalation.
This is tricky. But yeah, it's not an experiment because then they would learn a thing. Pete Hegseth already knows everything he needs to know. He doesn't need to run experiments.
There's a reason
He doesn't
even
need to
Russia
try
hasn't nuked Ukraine.
to figure out what is going to happen if he does X and Y. He doesn't need any of that shit. He doesn't care. He already knows how long they can stay out, and he will keep them out there for as long as it takes. He doesn't care about experiments or evidence or results from an experiment. Nah, man. It's not an experiment. Sorry, boss. You can put your tinfoil hat on. Folks, they're experimenting out there with the amount of time that a person can stay on one of the aircraft carriers. No. They, even if the experiment proved something wrong, they don't care. They're believers. They don't do experiments. Believers don't do experiments. Believers already know the answer. They've already determined what is correct and what is true. They don't need an experiment telling them something that they don't giving them evidence to suggest they're wrong. So about the nuclear thing, if they hit the
Pete Hegseth
thing.
isn't experimenting. No, I think Hegseth has run into the classic fascist pitfall.
For sure, he is a fascist, and he already knows everything. He already knows everything ever for eternity. There is no way that there's anything he doesn't know. And he works for Donald Trump, who exactly, you hear him say it all the time. Who knew healthcare could be so complicated? Most people don't know how to spell dumb. A lot of people don't know these things because he didn't know. So he assumes that no one knows. And if you prove him wrong, he'll just ignore it and tell you what he wanted to be true anyway. They make their own truth up anytime they want. Nukes, yeah, I think Donald Trump would bomb the shit out of them. He may not drop the nukes right away. If they hit that Navy boat, planes dropping bombs would happen. Lots of bombs, lots of planes, 100 times what we've done already. And it would happen overnight. And he's not going to make the mistake that George W. made. George W. Bush made the mistake that going low and slow, dragging the Iraq war on for such a long time, caused it to be worse than it should be. Yeah, Fridge, if your message is too long, the robot won't read it. And if you put a hashtag in front of it, the robot won't read it either. Not telling you should do that. If you want to use the text-to-speech, you can. But
Oops, stream okay?
No, you're good. If you put the hashtag in there, the robot won't read it.
Robot.
See? So if you want it read out loud, then type it in there like normal, and you should. It's good for engagement and fun stuff. So let's see. All fascist leaders end up running the same pitfall that destroys the country. They're dumb. Yeah, they will believe that willpower wins wars, and eventually believe willpower solely wins wars. And they will believe that willpower makes the crops grow. The belief
Oh
in
no,
the
I meant
state.
stream buffered like hell, but it's
Ow.
good now.
That's because my internet sucks. I'm working on it. But yeah, I'm usually pretty smooth, but as long as I'm not running any video games. But yeah, my computer is usually pretty good. I think I'm looking at the thing here. I think it's okay. I don't see any bad buffering problems on my end. It could just be my internet as well. My upload speed isn't quite as good as it should be. Anywho, what are we thinking about? What are we talking about? Yeah, so nukes, probably not. Russia hasn't nuked Ukraine because then we would nuke Russia and then they would be done. Russia has lots of people, but 2 cities, honestly. Swear to God. Can you name a third fucking Russian city? Nobody can. They've got Moscow, they've got St. Petersburg, and then they've got...
But yeah, fascists mythologize the military, and the warrior ethos eventually becomes stronger than logic.
Right. And it becomes stronger than actual facts. It becomes stronger than science. And then you get into Lysenkoism and shit like that, where they don't know what the truth is. They don't know why the crops aren't growing, even though you've given them all the fascist propaganda. And then they create their own science, and it just turns out really badly. And that's where we are headed with these guys. So let's keep looking at the Navy. What else do we have to talk about on the Navy? Did I have another one? No, it's not that. That right there. And okay, so the Navy is going to have a bad time. They are finally going to get replaced by someone else, but it's pretty late. They're all going to have a bad time. And let's see if there's anything more on this one. Let's keep reading. More than 200 family members confronted military leadership during the town hall. The military leadership said, "We hear you loud and clear. The impact this has on families, on service members, and the long-term ability of us to sustain our forces' health." Yeah, and what are you going to do about it? Fucking nothing, because you can't do anything about it. Because if these people stood against Pete Hegseth, he would fire them. If they said, "Hey, you need to bring them back," he would fire them. He hates them. He wants killbots who do what they're told when they're told. He doesn't respect them. He doesn't respect their intelligence. He doesn't respect their understanding of naval affairs. He doesn't give a shit about what they tell him is true. He wants killbots to go and kill things when he tells them. And if they don't do that, then they're woke, they're gay, they're DEI hires, and they need to be removed. It's going to completely ruin the military that we have. It will stop functioning. It will cease to accomplish the goals because you have removed everyone who has an intelligence. And the killbots can't figure it out. The people who are left are either idiots or so blatantly loyal that they fall into the fascist mythology problem. And they just think that they can do it because they can. And everybody just needs to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. I swear I had another photo. Where was it? But I guess that's it. Okay. And I have seen awful little photos of their food and stuff like that. Let's see. What else do we have to talk about today? But because of this kind of stuff, because all these things are going wrong, what you get is a unified left, which is great. I'm glad that we're all kind of unifying. We're all coming together. We're all voting for the DSA candidates. We're all voting for the left-leaning kind of people. And that's great. I love that. But the Democrats are against that. I know Eli was here a long time ago, and he doesn't know the difference between a Democrat and a leftist. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Striking the aircraft carrier would end well for Iran. USA's military has already been weakened massively from the MIC fraud. Maybe. It depends on how much of that was fraud.
They can't build new carriers.
Mm-hmm.
They can't even build new missiles.
And how many do we still have? Are they still functioning? Are we, America, in the same position that Russia was in, where we just found out, I mean, at the start of the Russia-Ukraine war, we were all expecting Russia to use an amazing military might and all of their fancy equipment to just absolutely stomp the shit out of Ukraine. But it didn't happen. The Russian military is not what it once was. It has been hollowed out. It has been robbed by their own soldiers, by their own military officials, by their own people. Ivan was taking the fuel out of the missiles and turning it into hooch. You know, he was taking the rocket fuel and turning it into drugs to sell on the side or just into some sort of alcohol to drink. And they were stealing the parts, they were stealing the important things and selling them on the black market. So when they actually went to war, they didn't have anything. Their shit was not functioning. They didn't have fuel for their tank convoys. They couldn't move. How close is the American government to that? Is the American military to that? I don't know. Is the American military just like that? I don't know. I hope not. But it might be closer than we would think. The nukes might be USA's last remaining viable option, if they even work. And I don't think Trump's cabinet is crazy enough to go nukes.
The USA got away with using nuclear weapons once, and people still question whether it was justifiable.
Right. And so do those damn things still work? I don't know. I think they might. Would Russian nuclear missiles work at this point? I don't know. Their tanks don't fucking work. The only thing they've got is artillery shells in Russia. They don't have drones. They don't have working tanks. They don't have working ICBMs. They don't have missiles. They don't have anything except for landmines and fucking shells. Do their nukes even work? I don't fucking know. Did Crazy Ivan steal all the nuclear material and sell it to Iran? I don't know. Is America exactly the same? Are we completely ruined? Is the entire military just a fake facade? Is it a fake bunch of buildings that can't stand up to a stiff wind anymore? I don't know. Yeah. Don't know the Trump administration would survive 4K footage of a woman and child's flesh being melted off by the atomic fire because of that. They would if Iran struck that carrier. I think they'd have a better chance of surviving that thing that you're describing if Iran shot a missile at that carrier. Then the Republicans wouldn't care. They would not care at all. The right-wing
I think nuking Iran would do as much damage to America's diplomatic ties as the last 6 entire years of Donald Trump.
And it very well could, but it might end that way. It still might happen simply because Donald Trump can't lose. He refuses to accept
It'd
reality.
do an extra 6 years of damage in one night.
Yeah, I think you're right. 6 years of damage plus 6 more overnight. Yeah, absolutely. And he still might do it. He doesn't do things for sane reasons. He's a crazy poison-brained dementia patient, so he doesn't know what he doesn't know. So we need the left to come together. So please, if I make a very simple voting strategy during the primaries. Vote for the person furthest to the left. Then during the general, vote for the person furthest to the left. Very easy. This is why I voted for Kamala in the last election, not because I really liked her, but because she was further to the left than the alternative. If they had had a primary, I would have voted for the person furthest to the left. But presidential primaries in my state are so far behind that it's after fucking Super Tuesday, so it doesn't fucking matter. But during the primary, I vote for the person furthest to the left. And then, during the general, you vote for the person furthest to the left. It's very easy. That it's better than vote blue no matter who, because it throws the idea that you're going to support someone in the primary who's further to the left than the Democrat. The centrist think tank, Third Way, is looking to pay someone between $140,000 and $150,000 to spend their days trying to dig up dirt on the DSA members. They're trying to sell this gig as anti-extremism work, which I could find completely disgusting. This is great. This is the centrists being against the left. As director of anti-extremism, a typical day might include assembling and updating database for the DSA's most extreme ideas and statements and a repository of voting records, affiliations, and issues to make available to allies and partners, leading public opinion research to identify and test the contrast
if
that
voting
move
could
base
change
voters
anything, they would have made
away
it
from
illegal.
these extremist candidates. I know what you're saying, but I think there's a chance that we have. There's a chance. I'm still on board for electoralism. I recognize that some people have abandoned it, but I'm still on board. Still on board for now. If the Democrats take the House and the Senate and they do not impeach Donald Trump, then I'll give up on electoralism. My mind. That's going to be the line I draw. If the Democrats win the House and the Senate in 2026, and then in 2027, they don't immediately impeach Donald Trump, then electoralism is over. It really kind of is. Voting will not make any kind of difference. It doesn't matter at that point. We've yet to get to that point. So I'll check back in with me in about February, and let me know, and I'll let you know whether or not I've given up on electoralism. Voting didn't make the things worse. It's that the people who run for office don't listen to you. The people running the situation do not have your best interest in mind. I think it's the powers that be measure the quickly how make things worse. The Democrats don't listen to you. They don't care. They don't like you. they need you to pay taxes so they can give those taxes to corporations through public partnerships. They need to have you need to pay taxes so they can give it to their corporate donors, so that the corporate donors can give can take billions and then give us millions in return, and then some of those millions go toward the candidates. That's what they do here now.
Hell, I'm not even talking about Trump. I'm British and voting hasn't achieved anything better over here either.
Yeah, and the UK might be dead. I know they had a couple of elections recently with old Ben Face and what's his name, Nigel Farage and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, we're both dead.
Yeah, we're both dead. We're kind of dead empires. But what that could lead to, if we allow it, is to just chill the fuck out. America doesn't have to be number one anymore. They don't have to. Somebody else could be number one, and we could just chill the fuck out. Just relax. Just make everything more normal. We don't have to be winning the race all the time. But yeah, they don't care about the laws. They don't care about the diplomacy. They don't care about the democracy. They don't care about what happens. They just need more money. And they only get into politics so that they can make more money.
No, we're going to see the end of the world.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. If we can avoid the nukes, maybe we'll be all right. Things will change. Things will get uglier. Things will get more dangerous. But people will keeping on. The global economy might collapse. Things might get more local as everything falls apart. It will be the end of buying Colombian coffee, having stuff farmed somewhere else, flown across the country, and then delivered directly to my door. That might end. It might be the end of big Temu shopping. It might be the end of buying cheap shit from China. But humanity will go on, I think. And so what were we talking about? Oh, yeah. The left-wing thing. The people who are leading the charge. The rebels already won. So this is from Ken Klippenstein. He's very smart. I like him. It's lame duck hunting season. He's got Wong here, and Wong lost narrowly, but that's okay. Let's see. I love reading his stuff. It's very good. Wisconsin votes today. If Francesca Hong loses, and she did, the Democratic gubernatorial primary, mainstream media will file this story that they've been dying to do all year. The anti-establishment fever is breaking, and the grown-ups are back. Don't fall for it. The insurgency already won months ago, before anyone in Washington even knew who Hong was. It's lame duck hunting season, an electoral massacre of do-nothing political incumbents and the old ways of politics in general. Think Doge, but for politicians. We'll call it DOPE, Department of Political Efficiency. There are famous examples like Zoran Mamdani and Abdul El-Sayed, but also many others. Milat Kiros, a 29-year-old barista, took out a 15-term Colorado Congresswoman, Diane DeGette, age 69. Daraliza Avila Chevalier, we'll just call her Daraliza, a 32-year-old grad student, did the same to a Congressman, Adreno Espaillat, 71, who was held elected office in Upper Manhattan since 1997. Donovan McKinney, a 34-year-old union organizer, ousted 71-year-old Congressman Sri Thanadar in Michigan. So the people are starting to come back. The left-leaning people are starting to win, and this is good for us. This is making me think that electoralism could work. I know voting sucks and is lame, but maybe these people can straighten things out. And contrary to the media's lazy comparisons to the Tea Party primaries, of which saw defeats of just 4 House members in 2010, the current cycle has already seen primary defeats of 10 House members. That's the most in non-redistricting years since 1970, with more primaries yet to come. But there's still more carnage. A much larger number of politicians ran on the "you can't fire me, I quit" play, rather than face the humiliation of an election defeat. And as a result, 62 House members are not seeking re-election. That's the second highest number not to seek re-election in American history. Also, unlike the Tea Party, DOPE is not confined to one political party. 35 of the House members not seeking re-election are Republicans. Meanwhile, Maytag, who herself chose not to seek re-election, plans to launch a third-party bid for presidency along with a recently ousted Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie and conservative commentator Tucker Carlson. I love this idea. I want Maytag, Massie, and Carlson to create a third party that just ruins the Republican chances. I would love for that to happen. That would be amazing, and I hope it does happen. We want every political and economic disaster and the multiple wars and deference to Israel, intense rent-seeking corruption at the levels of every government, ever the $200 billion price tag on the new trains as flock cameras, data centers pop up every month without issue in an AI bubble. They're probably making everyone lose their jobs or succeeding only because the managers take everyone's job. Yeah, I know. They're all connected. Everything is connected. There is nothing that isn't political.
If we somehow fix all of that, next year's summer temperatures are waiting to break our knees with a tire iron.
You're right. And next year, this summer, is the nicest one of the rest of my life. Economic disaster is on the way. Ecological disaster is on its way. Next year will be hotter. The year after that will be hotter than that. And the year after that will be hotter than that. And the year after that will be hotter than that. The UK was on fire and melting and burning.
Both disasters.
And one will lead to the other. Has had the nicest, best summer they're going to have for the rest of my lifetime.
I miss when climate change was the biggest issue the world was facing.
Right, because fake news and the money people, the people who have the money, have told the American people that it's not real. America is filled with believers. They don't care about they don't look for evidence. They just believe what they want to be true. So they believe the climate change isn't real. They believe evolution isn't real. They believe that Donald Trump's a truth teller. They believe in republicanism. They believe in trickle-down economics. They believe that marriage is between one man and one woman. They believe a lot of things. The evidence all suggests the opposite of those things, but they don't need that. They don't like evidence. Evidence is for nerds. Evidence is dumb and gay and only nerd shit. So don't ask for evidence. Just tell. They're lying to themselves. They're telling themselves what they want to be true and hoping that everyone also says the same thing. And if they die, then they'll die happy. It's a dismissal of reality. There's the survivors who are not long for this world, politically and often literally, given their health issues. People like Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer, members of the Crypt Caucus. I like the Crypt Caucus. Being in the middle of all this, I don't think we can fully appreciate how monumental this political realignment is, and Dope's influence is only growing. When Mamdani won in New York mayoral primary, the response for Democrat leadership was awkward silence. Chuck Schumer never endorsed him. Hakeem Jeffries spent months studying his shoes before finally endorsing, and only after Mamdani had promised to retain Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch, the national security school marm who would keep the bucking bronco in line. Last week, though, Democrat official couldn't get in line fast enough after El Sayed won in the Senate primary in Michigan. Haley Stevens, the leadership-backed candidate he just beaten in a bruising primary, endorsed him immediately without any apparent bitterness. Gavin Newsom endorsed him within minutes of the race being called, then flew to Michigan to campaign with him. Kamala Harris endorsed him on Friday. Schumer and Kristen Gillibrand put out the joint statement. So maybe they're getting in line. Maybe. They think that if they get in line, then they can drag these leftists to the center. I'm worried about that. These are not backbenchers. Newsom and Harris, both contenders for the next Democratic Party presidential nomination, evidently concluded that something so big was transpiring that they were willing to stand next to the guy their donors just spent millions of dollars trying to bury. And that's the problem. It's all about the donors. None of them asked El Sayed to walk anything back or mention his supposed negatives. They'd spent months.
The part of it that makes it hell is that the liberal politicians have no solution to these problems.
Right, because they work for the same companies. They work for the same donors. They take the money. The only difference between a Republican and a Democrat is that the Democrat has a coexist bumper sticker on the back of their car. That's it. The Republicans want to take your money and give it to the corporations. The Democrats want to take your money, give it to the corporations, but they want to be nice about it. They don't want you to say any slurs while you're doing it. And the Republicans don't mind. and I'm not calling all Republicans fascist. I'm not calling all the fascist Republicans. I'm drawing a distinction between them. But yeah, your neocons and your liberals, very little difference. Very small difference when it comes down to what they will push for in the economy, what they will push for in policy. Obama, according to the right, was the giant super communist, and he pushed Obamacare and the ACA, which just gives money to the healthcare companies. Doesn't give healthcare to the people. No. It gives money to the insurance companies. That's all they do here anymore. You're able to get a Democrat to honestly answer what they do about the looming threat that I just talked about, and they'd say, "Oh,
but
well,
if you asked
nothing."
a Republican, they'd say they'd make it happen faster.
Well, if they would tell you it's not real. The Republicans will tell you there is no climate change. There's no such thing. It's insane. And they will make up a bunch of stats saying that it isn't. And the Democrats will say it's a very big deal and you're right to be worried about it. But you got to donate to me. I'm going to need more money so that I can get elected, so that I can do something about it. And then when they are elected and they are in charge, they do nothing. That's what this thing is complaining about. That's why the leftists are starting to win. That's why El Sayed is starting to win. That's why people who are on the left are starting to take notice and pay attention. The Dems aren't doing anything. The party bigwigs clearly see that they're writing on the wall. It's even changing how they talk. The most striking example is Biden's former transportation secretary, Pete Buttigieg, who now says his experience in the administration radicalized him, presumably to build up populist cred for the presidential run. Compare that to his 2020 presidential campaign when Buttigieg couldn't seem to find an Iowa fairgoer he could resist telling that he was a Rhodes Scholar, speaks 6 languages or 8 depending on the day, and how much he loves the James Joyce novel Ulysses. The former McKinsey consultant was the walking embodiment of why the Democratic Party sucks, overeducated, out of touch, and fixated on wonky, small-bore bullshit lacking any bold vision. Now he turns up at a popular podcast like Diary of a CEO, where he does some stupid things like pandering to conspiracy heads by implying that Jeffrey Epstein compelled Trump to bomb Iran. But he also says things that suggest people's rage is breaking through. Quote from him, Democrats have a responsibility to present something that is better, not just better than now, but it's got to be better than before. On Democrat fundraising off Trump's collapse, sure, it raises money and gets votes, but the trap is that it leaves party relieved of having to generate ideas. Buttigieg told Politico recently that the same interview, he also slammed the party's habit of acting like we just need to return to some idyllic pre-Trump era, saying there's kind of an unspoken Democratic assumption that we're trying to take us back to, I don't know, what is 2012, 1992? Is it 2021?
Democrats treat politics as a 9-to-5 job and not deciding the fate of the entire planet like it is.
I know, right? Whatever it is, we can't go there. We shouldn't try. We shouldn't want to. Yeah, exactly. They want to make money and then do as little as possible. And I appreciate that. Man, I really do. I've had bad jobs before, and I wanted the most money and the least amount of work. I dig that. I recognize that human
I don't.
compulsion on a normal human level. But you're not asking for a normal job.
I refuse to appreciate that.
I appreciate it as a human tendency. That's a very human thing to do. What I want is for the politicians to be better than that. I want them to be better. I want them to prove that they are better.
8 billion people are depending on these people to give a shit.
And I want them to be better than they are right now. But they treat it like they're 9 to 5, or they have to go in, they have to clock in at 8, and then they check their phone and they play on Twitter a little bit, and then they read an email or something, and then they have Claude or the Chat GPT rewrite their emails. They could be. El Sayed is better. The left-leaning people who want to do things are better. The left-leaning politicians want to be there to do the thing they think is correct, to do the thing they think is right. The Dems have given up, though. And what we worry about is things like the leftists showing up, getting elected, and then they get ground down by the system. They get depressed by the system. They get their edge worn away by the tide. You know, the water washes them away, and they're like, I can't do anything. I guess I'll just do nothing and say nice things and get reelected so that I can keep making more money. And
Dems are
dangerous.
just there to collect their paycheck and clock out.
Well, worse than that, they're there to make more money. I wish that were the case. If they were just there to get a paycheck, then they wouldn't be insider trading. They wouldn't be taking giant donor money and then changing the laws to make the donors make more money. That's the problem. That's even worse. If that was all it was, they'd just be government employees, which is fine. But they're worse than that. They're changing the laws to make the government worse so that the private companies can make more money, can get more tax money.
Unfortunately, even if they had the will, they might still not be able to do anything.
And that's why we have to keep supporting the left. That's why we have to keep supporting people like El Sayed, who I didn't get to vote for because I don't live in that state. These criticisms of the party are present in virtually all of his recent interviews, which come off as a repudiation of his own political career. So even these Democrats are noticing the thing that you're saying, Fridge. Sounds to me like dope found its way up to Mayor Pete's nose. Jokes aside, that's a good thing. Sincere or not, I suspect it's mostly sincere. It means that the most calibrated politician in the party has read the room and concluded the old lines don't work anymore. This is good news for us. In other words, pissed off voters won. The political realignment doesn't get certified on election night. You find it out it's happened when you notice the establishment has quietly adopted the insurgents' vocabulary and ideas. Mom Donnie's affordability focus and delivers them back to you as conventional wisdom. This is already happening. The media hasn't noticed.
The mainline Democrats are taking on the mannerisms of the DSA, but don't be fooled.
They might accidentally do some of that stuff, though. I'm on board. This is already happening. The media just hasn't noticed. As with Francesca Hahn phenomenon, they're too busy fixing the electability. There's a word I'd be glad to never hear again. Electability, I've talked about this. The word electability just means that the donors like you. If the donors don't like you, you're not electable. And if you're not electable, then the donors won't give you any money, then you can't win. Electability just means the donors want to give you money. That's what electability means. If we're lucky, these things will function and they will work. And then the people on the left will win and they'll get into a position of power and it will be good. They will do some of the things they're talking about. Here's Peggy Flanagan talking about what she wants to do. This is a good thing.
And getting rid of prior authorization so that some dude behind a desk, or worse yet, an AI bot, isn't determining whether you get the life-saving health care that your doctor has prescribed. And passing Medicare for all because we are going to make healthcare available and affordable once and for all. And now let's talk about Donald Trump's out-of-control ICE force. We need to rip ICE apart and stop them from terrorizing our communities.
That's a good thing. I hope that happens. It can't happen if you just elect the regular Democrats. It needs to be people further on the left.
And I know this. I know that we can fix our broken immigration system, secure the border, and create a real pathway to citizenship that aligns with our values. And we are going to stop Donald Trump's billion-a-day illegal war in Iran and the crushing gas and fertilizer prices. We are going to fight the corruption, whether it's in the White House or in the halls of Congress, because the grift has to stop.
Fucking secure the borders? They're still talking about that?
Well, the Democrats still have to talk about that because the news, the fake news, even the liberal news, thinks that there's some sort of border invasion. It's not true. It's never happened. But they have to say it, or else you sound like a lunatic. I'll tell you the truth. There is no border crisis. There's no such thing. It's never been a crisis. It's never been a problem. Let them come. Let them go. Who fucking cares? It does not harm America. People coming into America does not harm us. People leaving America doesn't harm us. But they're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to be a mainstream person and say that. It drives so many people batshit crazy. I've tried to say it to right-wing people, and they throw a fucking fit. They start screaming bloody murder about people who don't belong here. And it doesn't make any sense. And I know the UK's got a huge immigration issue happening as well at the same time. And that's what fascists do, is they draw a line between us and them and then tell you that them is coming to kill you. But even as a DSA member, even as a left-leaning person who's further left than the Democrats, she still has to say that for now. But if we're lucky, they just make it very easy to become a citizen. And that's what I would want, is
oh
a very
God,
simple...
it's so bad in the UK. I'm so sick of hearing, stop the boats.
Absolutely. It's a fucking nightmare, and it's horseshit, and it's a lie, and it's over-exaggerated, and it's way less of a danger than they tell you it is. But if you suggest that, then they think you're a lying sack of shit, because it's one of those well-believed things. It's like one of the most believed thing in America. I know the UK is going crazy about it too, but like in America, nothing is more solid than the grass is green, the sky is blue, and the border is unsecure. It's a fucking fact of nature in most Americans' minds, and it's wrong. It's a lie. It's nonsense. It's not real. But they believe it. So you can't make them stop believing it. And if you try to make them stop believing it, then you're attacking their identity, and you're a bad guy. Anyway, let's keep listening to her, because I think she's great. And she just won her primary, and I hope she wins the general.
And make no mistake, we are going to protect our democracy from this out-of-control president and all the yes, sir senators who are doing his bidding. And we're also going to protect our democracy from the corporate PACs and dark money groups that are trying to buy our politicians. Because you know and I know the best way to end Citizens United is to show that we can run and
it's
win
so true that we're basically the USA on a 4-year delay.
Yeah, and that's not a surprise. That's the way. If someday China takes over and becomes the #1 country in the world, then the USA will fall behind them.
We've basically had a Biden and Kamala.
Yeah. But anyway, that was Peggy Flanagan. She's great, and she won her primary, and I hope she continues to do a good job. I hope she does the things she's talking about. She's a Native American. That's her Native American name right there. Giziwu Ida Mukwe. And if you can't pronounce that, you're racist. So yeah, I hope she wins. She's going to hopefully get us into better and more intelligent policy. Yes, I know climate change is still such a big deal.
Only instead of vote for me because I am woman, it's vote for me because I am Northern.
Yeah, exactly. Saw a video from Thunderfoot, a practical way to reverse climate change and see results of 5 change. And that wouldn't surprise me. There are ways to do it. We'd have to stop oil, and we'd have to get way more solar energy and stuff like that. We could do things like that, but the oil companies own our senators. If the oil company loses 1% of its fucking profit, they get new senators. Man, they pay somebody else to run for office. It's all about the money. It's always been about the money. That's why every single fucking complaint I have in my entire fucking YouTube career has been pointing out that everything comes back to money. Always does. If we are poisoned by capital. Capital is the problem. It is the root of all evil. Money is the root of all evil, right? And that is why everything goes wrong. The oil companies want to sell more oil, and so they lie to you about climate change. The oil companies do not want to lose 1% of their revenue next year, so they must shut down all production of solar panels. They cannot allow this left-leaning person to run and push for green energy, because then they won't make that money. They will kill your planet so that they can make more money. And then they will lie to themselves and say that they're not actually killing the planet and that you're exaggerating and you're being a ridiculous person. And any of it, I would be okay with that if some scientists said that would solve the problem. I would. If enough scientists said, hey, let's burn some sodium and fix the shit, then let's fix it. But again, where would you get it and how would you pay for it? Again, good ideas can happen, but somebody has to pay for it. With the forest fires, all those wildfires that are going on across the world right now. Donald Trump is a lying idiot, but he is correct in the idea that if you had raked it and taken the debris out, you wouldn't have the fuel for the fire. Now, the thing he's wrong about is who's going to do it and how are you going to pay them. Human beings aren't going to go out into the middle of the fucking wilderness and just pick up all the sticks and then bring them back for nothing. That has to be a job. And if you're going to have a job and you're going to pay people to do the thing, how do you make that? Where do you get that money? Either the government has to give that money or a corporation has to give that money. It's the only two options. There's no fucking third option. Your government gives the people the money to do the thing. A company pays people to do the thing. That's it. There is no third fucking option.
I think we absolutely need geoengineering not as a permanent solution but as a, please God, we need something to mitigate the 2027 summer.
Who's going to pay for it? The government refuses. Because then that would be, they would lose their donations from the oil lobby. The oil CEOs would no longer give millions of dollars to the senators who push for that. And if the company did it, the company would have to turn a profit. There is no profit from sending
Oh, of course,
men.
the government refuses.
There would be no profit from sending 100 guys into the forest to rake up a bunch of sticks and leaves and brush and then bring them out. There's no profit there. You can't turn sticks and leaves and brush into a product that you can then sell, which means the government should pay people to do the thing that's good for us. That's what your taxes are supposed to be for. That's what taxes used to be for, to pay for the things that were good for everybody. Not anymore. After the 1980s and Ronald Reagan, and he can be blamed for just about every problem that we have. If you try hard enough, you can drag every problem we have back to Ronald Reagan. Companies have to be paid by the government to do that. They love that shit. They love giving your tax dollars to a corporation who then does something for you. But they're going to do as little as possible for as much profit as possible. So we're going to give them billions in tax dollars, and they're going to give us millions of millions worth of brush clearing, and then that will balloon and balloon and balloon and balloon, and they will maximize profit, and then they'll get new investors who demand more profit. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. The government shouldn't be giving corporations money. They should just do it them damn selves. I don't want the government to take tax dollars and give it to a company that then hires a guy to pick up sticks. I do, however, want the government to take tax money and pay a man to pick up sticks. That is the way you fight the over-corporatization. Pay the people to do the thing. Don't pay a corporation to hire a bunch of people and keep some of the profit. That's how we got into this fucking situation. That's why we can't get anything done. That's why we can't build a fucking road anymore. That's why we can't build bridges. That's why we can't clear the fucking land. That's why the United States government cannot do anything anymore, because they don't hire people to do it. They hire a corporation that maximizes profit and minimizes expense and minimizes the amount of actual product they produce. It reminds me of 1904 when the inter-party gladly hurts everyone, including themselves, as long as it hurts the proles the most. Yeah, exactly. Purely adversarial relationship that's stronger, that's even the preservation. Yeah. If we all suffer, as long as the poor people suffer the most, it's fine. Suffering is okay. as long as the people underneath me suffer more than me. It's insane. It's perverse. So let's see. What else do we have to talk about today? So the left is winning. That's good. I hope that it continues. What else we got? Here's El Sayed doing some cool things.
Donald Trump says that Donald Trump seems to think you're a gift for the Republican Party. What do you say to that?
Good to meet you.
Abdul, Donald Trump seems to think you're a gift to the Republican Party. What do you say to that?
I'm a gift to the state of Michigan, God willing, and hope to win this election.
And he says, if you pardon the language, you're full of What do you say to that?
At least I don't let mine go in the middle of the Oval Office.
At least I don't poop in the Oval Office. Very nice. See, and he's got some charisma. He's got some appeal. Some people might like to listen to him. And then I wanted to complain about prediction markets. These are horseshit. I don't know if you saw this. Look at this thing. This is the prediction market. 90, 90, 90, 90, 90. Bam. Down to 30. Up to 55. Down to 10. Up to 75. Down to 40. Up to 75. Down to 25. Down to 0. This is insanity. This is horseshit. This is madness. Okay? I'm going to need the reporters to stop reporting on
Prediction markets are such a meme.
They're a scam. Stop reporting on prediction markets as if they're fucking real. They're nonsense. They're imaginary. CNN, stop reporting on this shit.
I hate it though. I hate that everything is gambling now.
Everything is gambling now, and it's a giant scam. If you're a reporter, stop reporting on this shit. It's bad information that's been manipulated by someone behind the scenes to make more money. It's gambling, and the house always wins. Stop reporting on them in the same way that you do an actual poll. Stop reporting it as data. It's not data. It's propaganda, and it can't be trusted. If there's a CNN reporter using this garbage from Polymarket on a TV screen, I don't trust them anymore. If it's an internet column writer or a YouTuber using Kalshi to predict political races, I don't trust them anymore. Using this fucking thing to determine who's going to win the primary is like doing your own research on YouTube.
Every advertisement is gambling. Every job is a barista.
Yep. Oops. Where'd my hat go? Come back there. When someone tells you that the earth is flat, and if you don't immediately walk away from them, you might ask them, how did you come to this conclusion? And you'll find out that they did their own research on YouTube. You stop listening to that person. You don't listen to them anymore. You don't believe any of the things they say because you know their brain's been poisoned. Actual research is difficult. It takes time, patience, and money. You have to find credible sources, compare any contrasting information, come to some kind of fact-based conclusion, and then be prepared to defend your conclusion. That's all nerd shit, okay? It's much easier to just watch a YouTube video that misunderstands the Bedford level water curvature experiments and then just repeat the memes about globe heads. So that's usually what you get.
It's crazy how fucked people are by fake news.
Right, and so they misunderstand water level experiments, and so they just insult globe heads and make jokes about how geography class in 2040. Isn't that great right there? Geography class in 2040. So you just make memes, right? And that's what our news media is now. They're just the people making the memes. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News especially, they don't report shit anymore. They don't send reporters out. Sometimes they send somebody out to Capitol Hill or something, but not most of the time. Most of the time, the news is now just Twitter feeds and recordings from goobers on the side of the street. CNN reporting Kalshi and its betting odds is exactly the same as a conspiracy theorist who did their own research. CNN does less reporting now. They just look at tweets and instead of interviewing people, they just get the information from whatever person's tweet.
Only half of Americans believe anthropogenic climate change is real. In 2026, half. And I don't think other countries are that much better.
America is especially lied to about that because the media will not tell you the truth. They don't care about
I
that
bet
anymore.
if the same survey happened in the UK today, we'd be lucky to get 80%.
And they would and ExxonMobil wants that to be lower because that hurts their market share. It really does. It hurts their stock price to have it at 80. They need it to be around 60, 50, 40, 30, somewhere now. They don't want nobody to believe that shit. Yeah, CNN doesn't report things anymore. They just show you cell phone videos that a rando took instead of sending a camera crew. They tell you the Cauchy odds instead of conducting polls. Why do they do that? Because actual reporting is difficult. It takes patience and money. You have to find credible sources, compare contrasting information, come to some sort of fact-based conclusion, and then be prepared to defend that conclusion. That's what is required for actual reporting, the same as research. And that is nerd shit. And second, it's expensive. And there it is again. Capitalism, the profit motive, poisons everything. As is always the case in America, the search for maximum profit poisons everything. Camera crews are expensive, so just use cell phone footage captured by the locals. Interviews are time consuming, so just use the subject's tweets instead. Polling is difficult, so just post up the betting markets instead. But the problem with those solutions is that the cell phone footage is lacking context. Twitter is controlled by AI and Mecha Hitler. The algorithm is tweaked by a literal Nazi. And the betting markets are manipulated by scammers. Reality tastes like shit, and bullshit is delicious. And that is the entire problem with the Western civilization right now. True things aren't appreciated. Nobody would pay you to tell the truth. If you're telling some lies, depending on what the lie is, somebody will pay you for it. If you want to say there is no such thing as climate change, somebody will pay you for that.
It feels like every time I open a newspaper, it bursts into flames.
It's a good point. And none of those things in that newspaper are true. They're all manipulated by someone for money. Any headline is manipulated by someone with money. Any news, anything that makes it onto the TV news is manipulated by somebody for money. Everything is manipulated by somebody for money. Every headline that you see, everything that pops up is just someone trying to make you think something else based on money. But I know I've been doomer all day, and it has been doomer the last whole bunch of fucking streams. I've been complaining and yelling and being doomer about everything. And the climate change is not making it any better. But let's read a hopeful little poem. How about that? That's how we'll cap off today's stream. Poetry with Waldo. Here we go. Ready? This one is called Hope is Not a Bird, Emily. It's a
Not
sewer
all of
rat.
it is for money, though.
Oh, I think all of it's for money. All of it.
Some of it is worse.
Some of it is worse. Well, that's power. And why do you have the money so that you can have the power? Why do you have the power so you can make the money? I agree that some of it is power and sexual conquest, but you need the money to get all those things done. If you are poor and want to sexually assault people, you go to jail. If you're rich and you want to sexually assault people, you just get to do that. You get to buy your way out of crimes. But let's read the poem. All right. Hope is Not a Bird, Emily. It's a Sewer Rat by Caitlin Saida. Hope I pronounced that right. Hope is not a thing with feathers that comes home to roost when you need it most. Hope is an ugly thing with teeth and claws and patchy fur that's seen some shit. It's what thrives on the discards. It survives in the ugliest parts of our world, able to find a way to go on when nothing else can even find a way in. It's the gritty, nasty little carrier of such diseases as optimism, persistence, perseverance, and joy, transmissible as it drags its tail across your path and bites you in the ass. Hope is not delicate, beautiful bird, Emily, no. It's a lowly little sewer rat that snorts pesticides like they were lines of coke and still shows up on time to work the next day, looking no worse for wear. I saw this and I liked it. So the reason I wanted to say it is stay positive. I know shit's shit right now, But there are some nice things to look forward to. The left-leaning people might be winning. Donald Trump might get impeached. Then they would have to come back to the center. The right wing fucking fascists would have to calm down a little bit. ICE will lose some of its money. Maybe we'll get some goddamn solar panels, and then maybe things can get slightly better. The AI stuff is about power and not money. Well, the flock cameras and the data centers are because the rich are looking for an alternative to democracy. It doesn't end with their heads on pikes. And they are using that to hide themselves and make themselves more powerful and more money. So yeah, the money comes first, and then the power. Then first you get the money, then you get the power, then you get the bitches, right? I think that's the way it goes. So that is what we have to deal with. So how do you defeat this? How do you make things better? Move left. Every step to the left is a step away from big money. Every step to the left is a step away from big donors. Move yourself to the left a little bit. Tell your friends to move left a little bit. Tell
Honestly,
anybody who's listening.
the worst thing that can happen in the USA right now isn't a third Trump term.
It would be
It's another Biden type.
A centrist. Yes, I agree. I think you're right. A centrist type person would do a better job. Your Gavin Newsom, he would do nothing but say nice things. Then J.D. Vance and Tucker Carlson would take over 4 years after that and just make everything so much worse. We move to everything gets worse for 4 years, then it stands still for 4 years, then it gets worse for 4 years, then it stands still for 4 years, then it gets worse for 4 years, then it stands still for 4 years. The pendulum never swings back the other way to getting better. None of those things happen. And I know exactly what you're talking about how things could get worse by not fixing them. And hopefully that's not what we're seeing. Hopefully, maybe, if we're lucky, with people like Flanagan, people like AOC, people like El Sayed.
The damage that a do-nothing politician would do to everyone's faith in democracy would be astronomical.
And that's what happened to Biden, is that he didn't fix any of the things that he complained about. He was okay with some of the union things, and he was okay with the trade union thing that happened, and but he didn't fix the border. He didn't do anything about it. He didn't make a pathway to citizenship.
Total
he didn't put any of those
disenfranchisement
things into law. He didn't get anything fancy important laws passed. He didn't do anything. He was just nothing. And so that is the worry that I have, and I'm hopefully the Ken Klippenstein thing that we read right now is correct, and that the left is on its way up, and we won't have to worry about the things because the rebels already won. If we're lucky, the rebels already won, and we can change some things. But that's it for me today. I appreciate everybody's here. Thanks very much for coming in. Thanks for being here, Fridge. If you'd like to go over to the Discord, you can. If I can type, there's the Discord. If you're watching on YouTube, you can also see copy link address. There it is. You can also go to the Discord. Come on, mouse. My mouse has been shitty all day. So there's the Discord link. You can go on over there, tell me what you're thinking, tell me what you're feeling. Leave links to important things. You can, yeah, it's the blind spot. You're right, Shinseto. The conservative blind spot. They don't know that they don't know. So they ignore the things that they don't like. If you like, go on over to the Discord, tell me what you're thinking, tell me what you're feeling, go on over there, tell me about what we should talk about. If you've got links to fun stories, you can leave them in there in the public stream links. And if you want to see the puppy dogs, there's photos in there. And if you want to put your puppy dogs in the Bobo the Baby Bark Boy channel, you can put your cats and your dogs in there for photos. And then everyone will see it, and we'll all laugh, and we'll have a good time. If you've got a fun meme, I know my start screen has a bunch of memes. If you got a good one, put it in there, and I'll put it up on the start screen. It'll be a whole time. It'll be a thing that would be fun. So that is it for me today. I appreciate everybody who's here. Thanks for coming in. I will raid someone if I can. God, can I do that? I don't know if I got anybody that I know is online. I don't know anybody that's online. I'm looking for somebody to raid, but I don't know. I don't know enough streamers, honestly. I barely even know anybody. Oh, I left my fucking face off. Derp. Damn it, Waldo, you're too stupid. And I'm not even any good at this damn thing. I'm terrible at this job. So we're just going to raid somebody. Ready, go.